First contact gone wrong. The void between stars wasn't silent, not to Captain Nora Reeves. As she stood on the bridge of the ESS Prometheus, Earth's most advanced warship, the gentle hum of fusion engines, the quiet beeps of sensor arrays, and the steady breathing of her crew created a symphony more familiar to her than Earth's oceans. Status report, Nora commanded, her voice calm despite the gravity of their mission. Lieutenant Commander Wei looked up from his console. We've reached the edge of hegemony space, Captain. Stealth systems operating at peak efficiency. They have no idea we're here. Yet, Nora added, her steel-gray eyes fixed on the main view screen where the central planet of the galactic hegemony glowed an eerie purple, encircled by a defensive web of battlecruisers and weapon platforms. The ESS Prometheus represented humanity's pinnacle achievement, a vessel incorporating technologies that even Earth's few alien allies struggled to comprehend. But Nora hadn't brought it here to showcase human engineering. She'd come with purpose, with determination, with a cold fury carefully contained behind a commander's discipline. 2 weeks ago, the galactic hegemony had crossed a line. A human research station in the Tav Ceti system, civilian scientists exploring a newly discovered wormhole phenomenon, had vanished. The hegemony's official channels claimed ignorance, while the Galactic Council expressed concern but took no action. Only a faint, partially corrupted distress signal pointing unmistakably to hegemony involvement had given Earth the lead they needed. Nora's mission was simple: bring our people home. Captain, Communications Officer Ramirez called out, we're being hailed by an automated security beacon from the Hegemony Defense Network. Ignore it, Nora replied. Maintain course for their central command station. The bridge fell silent as the sleek ship pushed forward. These were elite officers who had trained their entire lives for this moment, executing their duties with precision. They all understood what was at stake, not just the lives of the missing researchers, but humanity's standing in the galaxy. For too long, the ancient species of the galaxy had viewed humans as newcomers, fortunate technologists who had stumbled upon faster-than-light travel barely 3 decades ago. They were tolerated, occasionally respected, but never feared or taken seriously as a power. The hegemony was about to learn differently. We're being targeted, Tactical Officer Caftry announced calmly. Multiple hegemony vessels moving to intercept. Energy signatures indicate weapons charging. Nora nodded. Maintain course. No evasive maneuvers. Captain, Chatry questioned, a rare breach of protocol that spoke to the unconventional nature of their approach. They won't fire, Nora said with certainty. Not when they realize what we are. The Prometheus continued its deliberate course, cutting through space toward the heart of the Hegemony Defense Network. 3 massive battle cruisers moved to form a blockade, their angular hulls bristling with weapon systems. Being hailed again, Ramirez announced. This time, it's a direct transmission from Hegemony High Command. Nora straightened the collar of her midnight blue uniform. On screen, the view screen flickered, revealing the stern face of a Hegemony military commander. Admiral Zexteral's 6 eyes blinked independently across a ridge of bony plates that framed a face resembling a squid merged with an insect. Unidentified vessel, the Admiral's translator conveyed, his mouthparts clicking rapidly. You have entered sovereign hegemony space. Identify yourself immediately or face immediate destruction. Nora stepped forward, her posture relaxed yet commanding. This is Captain Nora Reeves of the Earth spaceship Prometheus. She paused, allowing the significance to sink in. And you already know why we're here. The Hegemony Admiral's multiple eyes widened, the equivalent of a human gasped. A human warship, this deep in Imperial territory. Impossible. Evidently not, Nora replied coolly. You have something that belongs to us, Admiral. 42 human researchers from the Tav Ceti wormhole project. We want them back. The Admiral's mouthparts clicked rapidly, a sign of agitation. I don't know what you're talking about. This incursion is a violation of the Galactic Accord. Your presence here constitutes an act of war. Interesting choice of words, Admiral, Nora said, because abducting civilian researchers was certainly an act of war from our perspective. Behind her, the bridge crew worked silently, their hands moving over holographic controls as they monitored the growing number of hegemony vessels surrounding them. 20 ships now, some larger than the Prometheus, all with weapons trained directly on them. You have no proof of these accusations, Zex Terrell hissed, and you have no position of strength here. One small ship against the might of the hegemony. Your human arrogance will be your undoing. Nora smiled, not the warm expression humans shared among friends, but the cold, predatory smile of an apex hunter. Let me be clear, Admiral. We know the research team is being held at your biological research facility on Hegemony Prime. We know they're being subjected to experiments to understand how humans develop neural interface technology so quickly. And we know your scientists are particularly interested in our quantum entanglement communication systems. The Admiral's reaction, a subtle shift in posture, a momentary silence, confirmed everything. You have 1 hour to release all human prisoners and return them to my ship unharmed, Nora continued. Failure to do so will result in consequences your empire is not prepared to face. Zex Terrell laughed, the sound harsh and clicking through the translator. You threaten us with 1 ship. Perhaps humans are more delusional than we realized. Nora's expression didn't change. 1 hour, Admiral. And I should mention, the Prometheus isn't alone. She nodded to Ramirez, who terminated the communication. They're mobilizing additional ships, Chakri reported immediately. Sensor readings indicate they're activating planetary defense systems as well. As expected, Nora replied. Deploy sensor drones. I want full coverage of their fleet movements. Captain, Wei interjected, the hegemony outnumbers us at least 30 to 1, even with our technological advantages, if they decide to attack. They won't, Nora interrupted, not after we show them what we're capable of. She walked to the tactical display where a holographic representation of the hegemony fleet glowed in red contrast to the single blue dot representing the Prometheus. The hegemony, like most of the galactic powers, has underestimated humanity from the beginning. They see our diplomatic overtures as weakness, our technological advancements as lucky accidents. Nora's voice remained level, but there was steel beneath it. What they don't understand is that humans have been preparing for this moment since we first looked up at the stars. We've been fighting wars against ourselves for millennia. We know conflict like they know breathing. In the silence that followed, the crew exchanged glances. They knew their captain's reputation, a strategic genius who had risen through the ranks faster than anyone in the history of Earth's Space Command. If anyone could pull off this mission, it was Nora Reeves. 5 minutes remaining in our ultimatum, the ship's AI announced. Nora returned to her command chair. Prepare the demonstration package. If they want to know what one human ship can do, let's show them. On the Hegemony flagship, Admiral Zex Terrell paced the command deck, his exoskeleton clicking against the metallic floor with each agitated step. What do we know about this vessel? He demanded of his intelligence officer. Very little, Admiral, the officer replied, mouth parts twitching nervously. The humans have kept their military advancements classified. Our intelligence suggests they possess nothing that could threaten even one of our cruisers, let alone the assembled fleet. Then why? Zex Terrell hissed. Why come here with 1 ship and make demands they cannot possibly enforce? It defies logic. Perhaps they are truly desperate, his second-in-command suggested. The loss of their researchers has driven them to irrational action. The Admiral wasn't convinced. In his long military career, he had encountered many species, studied countless battle strategies. This felt wrong. The humans were known for their adaptability, their resourcefulness. They wouldn't launch a suicide mission. Initiate deep scans of the region, he ordered suddenly. Check for any anomalies, any signs of cloaked vessels. Admiral, the weapons officer interrupted. The human ship is doing something. On the main view screen, the Prometheus's sleek hull began to transform. Panels shifted, revealing weapon systems that had been completely hidden from scans. A soft blue glow emanated from various points along the hull, intensifying steadily. "What are they?" the Admiral began, but never finished his question. A pulse of energy, invisible, silent, expanded outward from the human vessel. As it passed through the hegemony ships, systems failed, weapons went offline, communications died, artificial gravity fluctuated, and then, just as suddenly, everything returned to normal. "Damage report," Zex Terrell demanded. "No damage, Admiral," his officer responded, confusion evident. "It appears to have been a demonstration." The communications console chimed. The human captain was hailing them again. Zex Terrell hesitated only briefly. On screen, Nora Reeves appeared as calm as before. "That was a targeted electromagnetic pulse, Admiral, specifically calibrated for hegemony technology. As you just experienced, we can disable your ships without destroying them. That was at 10% power." She leaned forward slightly. "The next one won't be a demonstration. 50 minutes remain." The screen went dark. Zex Terrell turned to his intelligence officer. "Contact the research facility. Tell them to prepare the humans for transfer." "But Admiral, the High Council has invested significant resources in studying the humans. They won't approve." "The High Council isn't here," Zex Terrell snapped. "Something is wrong. That ship shouldn't be able to do what it just did, and Captain Reeves is too confident." He stared at the view screen where the human vessel waited, surrounded by his fleet, yet somehow appearing not as prey but as a predator. "Contact the research facility," he repeated quietly, "and initiate emergency protocols. I want every available ship mobilized." On the Prometheus, Nora received the news with a single nod. "They're moving the research team, Captain," Intelligence Officer Singh reported. "Our infiltration team confirms transport vessels being prepared at the research facility." "They're not surrendering," Nora noted. "Standard operating procedure," Wei added. "They'll try to hide them somewhere we can't find them, then deny everything." Nora's expression hardened. "Deploy the stealth drones. I want eyes on every transport vessel that leaves that facility." "Yes, Captain," Chatri acknowledged, sending the command. Nora stood up, facing her crew. "We knew this would be their response. Now we move to Phase 2. She tapped her neural interface, connecting directly to the ship's tactical systems. "The hegemony believes they understand human capability. They're about to learn how wrong they are." As the Prometheus held position, surrounded by the might of the hegemony fleet, invisible drones scattered across the system, tracking, monitoring, preparing. The true nature of humanity's response was about to be revealed, and the galaxy would never view them the same way again. The art of human deception. The 20-minute mark of Nora's ultimatum passed in tense silence on the Prometheus's bridge. Tactical displays showed hegemony transport vessels departing the research facility on Hegemony Prime, moving in different directions like seeds scattered by wind. "They're splitting up the researchers," Lieutenant Commander Wei observed. 6 separate transports, each with a military escort. Nora nodded, unsurprised. "Classic shell game. They think if they disperse the prisoners, we'll be forced to choose which ones to pursue." "Captain," Communications Officer Ramirez interjected, "Admiral Zex Terrell is hailing us again." On screen, Nora responded, straightening her posture. The Hegemony Admiral appeared, his composure noticeably more rigid than before. The subtle twitching of his mouthparts betrayed his agitation. "Captain Reeves," he began, "I have consulted with the High Council. There appears to have been a misunderstanding. We did temporarily detain some humans who violated our territory, but this was merely a standard security procedure." Nora's expression remained neutral. "And these detained humans, they are being released now?" "Yes," Zex Terrell confirmed. "They are being transported to neutral territory as we speak, where your government can arrange their retrieval. That's not what I demanded, Admiral, Nora replied coldly. I said they were to be returned to my ship directly. Zexteral's 6 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of frustration. That is impossible given the current circumstances. The detainees are already en route to the designated locations. Nora glanced at her tactical officer, who gave a subtle nod. All transport vessels were being tracked by their stealth drones. Very well, Admiral, she said, surprising the hegemony leader. We will await confirmation that our people have arrived safely at these neutral locations. Before Zexteral could respond, Nora continued. However, as a precaution, the Prometheus will remain in hegemony space until all researchers are accounted for. Unacceptable, the Admiral barked. Your presence here is a violation of. Careful, Admiral, Nora interrupted. Your empire started this when you abducted our people. Consider yourselves fortunate that we're pursuing a diplomatic solution. The communication ended, leaving the bridge in momentary silence. They're stalling, Intelligence Officer Singh noted. The transports aren't heading toward neutral territory. 2 are circling back toward the hegemony military base on the 4th moon. The others are heading for deep space coordinates. Nora's eyes hardened. They never intended to release them. She activated her neural interface again, connecting to the ship's eye. Activate Phantom Protocol. Throughout the Prometheus, hidden systems came online. In the void of space surrounding them, imperceptible distortions rippled outward as dormant technologies awakened. Phantom Protocol active, Captain. The AI confirmed. Ghost Fleet standing by. She walked to the tactical display. What they don't grasp is that peace was our choice. We could have come to the stars as conquerors. Instead, we chose diplomacy, cooperation. With a gesture, she expanded the tactical display, revealing what had been invisible moments before. 7 advanced human vessels, each smaller than the Prometheus, but no less lethal, positioned strategically throughout the hegemony system. But we never forgot how to fight. Lieutenant Caffrey's eyes widened at the tactical readout. Captain, the Ghost Fleet was here all along. How did they avoid detection? They came with us, Nora explained, riding our quantum wake, a technique we developed after studying the wormhole phenomena, the very research our abducted team was conducting. She turned to her first officer. Status of the transports. All still being tracked. White confirmed. 2 have reached the military base. 3 are heading toward what appears to be a rendezvous point in the asteroid belt. 1 is maintaining course toward the neutral zone, likely a decoy. Nora's expression darkened. They're distributing our people like commodities. She addressed the bridge crew. I want tactical solutions for intercepting all transports simultaneously. We're not leaving a single human behind. Captain, Singh interjected. We've intercepted communications between the transports. The hegemony is particularly interested in 3 of our researchers, Dr. Eliza Chen, Dr. Marcus Webb, and Dr. Sanjay Patel. They were the lead scientists on the Neural Quantum Interface project, the cornerstone of our technological leap, Nora murmured. The Neural Quantum Interface had revolutionized human space travel, allowing direct mind-to-ship connections that reduced reaction times and enabled intuitive control of complex systems. It was the one advantage humans had developed that other species hadn't been able to replicate. Which transport are they on? Based on security protocols and escort strength, they're likely on Transport 3, heading for the asteroid belt. Nora nodded. Then that's our primary target. Way, coordinate with ghost ships Artemis and Apollo. I want them in position to intercept that transport in 20 minutes. As orders flowed across the bridge, Nora stood silently, watching the tactical display. The hegemony fleet remained in formation around the Prometheus, weapons locked but not firing. They still believed they were dealing with a single ship on a foolish mission. Hegemony command ship is launching fighters, Chakri announced. 20, no, 30 small craft. They're forming a perimeter around us. Let them, Nora replied. It changes nothing. The Admiral was growing nervous, making classic containment moves. It wouldn't help him. "Captain," Ramirez called, "we're receiving a transmission from our infiltration team on Hegemony Prime. Put them through to my neural link," Nora commanded. A moment later, the voice of Commander Jackson, leader of the cover team, filled her mind. "Captain, we've accessed their research database. You need to see this." Images flooded through the neural link. Humans in containment cells, medical scans, surgical procedures. The Hegemony wasn't just studying the researchers, they were dissecting them, analyzing human neural patterns, trying to reverse engineer the interface technology. Nora's hands gripped the edge of the tactical console, knuckles white. "3 researchers are already dead," Jackson continued. "They're prioritizing the extraction of neural tissue for study. Based on their research logs, they're planning to harvest the lead scientists within the next 12 hours. "Get out of there, Commander," Nora ordered, her voice tight. "Transmit all data to the Prometheus and prepare for extraction." She severed the neural link and faced her crew, ice cold as interstellar space. "Change of plans. The Hegemony isn't just detaining our people, they're dissecting them." The temperature on the bridge seemed to drop with her words. "We're done playing diplomatic games." She turned to Katri. "Prepare to deploy the Cerberus protocol." The tactical officer looked up sharply. "Captain, Cerberus hasn't been field tested. The energy requirements alone will be manageable," Nora finished. "The Prometheus was built for this." She activated ship-wide communications. All hands, battle stations, secure for possible gravitational disturbances. On the Hegemony command ship, Admiral Zex Terrell received disturbing news. "Admiral," his science officer reported, "we're detecting unusual energy signatures from the human vessel. Nothing in our database matches the pattern." "What kind of weapon are they preparing?" Zex Terrell demanded. "Unknown, sir. The energy signature doesn't match any known weapon system. It's almost as if they're creating a localized distortion in space-time." The Admiral's mandibles clicked nervously. "Impossible. No species has mastered gravitational manipulation on that scale." "Sir," the communications officer interrupted, "we're being hailed by the human ship." On screen, Zex Terrell ordered. Captain Reeves appeared, her expression now devoid of all emotion. "Admiral, we know what you've been doing to our people. We know 3 are already dead." Zex Terrell froze. How could they possibly know? "Consider this your final warning," Nora continued. "Return all surviving humans to us immediately, or face the consequences." "You are in no position to make threats," Zex Terrell responded, trying to maintain his composure. "Your ship is surrounded. Your situation is hopeless." Nora smiled thinly. "Is it?" She nodded to someone off-screen, and the transmission ended. "All weapons lock on that vessel," Zex Terrell ordered. "If they attempt any aggressive move, destroy them immediately." But before his crew could acknowledge the order, the ship's sensors began blaring warnings. "Multiple energy signatures detected," the tactical officer shouted. 7. No. 8 unknown vessels decloaking throughout the system. On the main view screen, ships appeared from nowhere, sleek, predatory vessels of unmistakably human design, already in position around key Hegemony installations. "Impossible," Zex Terrell whispered. "Admiral," the weapons officer called urgently, 3 of the human vessels are moving to intercept our transports in the asteroid belt." Zex Terrell's mind raced. How had they known? How had they tracked the transports carrying the most valuable human specimens? "Dispatch the 3rd battle group to protect those transports," he ordered, "and get me a weapon lock on their command ship." But even as he gave the order, the sensors screamed again. "Energy spike from the Prometheus," the science officer shouted. "It's..." The officer never finished his sentence. The space around the human warship seemed to bend, twist, and then snap back into place. A wave of distorted space-time expanded outward, engulfing the nearest Hegemony vessels. Ships caught in the wave found themselves suddenly immobilized, their engines straining against an invisible force that held them fixed in space. It wasn't a weapon in the traditional sense. There was no destruction, no damage. Rather, it was as if the human ship had temporarily rewritten the laws of physics in a localized area. "What's happening?" Zex Terrell demanded. They've created some kind of spatial anchor," the science officer stammered. "Our ships can't move. Weapon systems are functional, but targeting is impossible through the distortion." The admiral stared in disbelief at the tactical display. 20 of his most powerful warships, rendered immobile by technology that shouldn't exist. "Sir," the communications officer said quietly, "we're receiving reports from across the system. All 6 transports have been intercepted by human vessels. In the asteroid belt, Transport 3's captain watched in horror as 2 human ships materialized on either side of his vessel, their weapon systems active and locked. "This is Commander Sarah Chen of the ESS Artemis," came the transmission. "Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will be met with overwhelming force." The transport captain looked to his security chief. "We have orders to protect the human specimens at all costs." "Sir," the security chief replied hesitantly, "look at our scanners. Those human ships, they're generating energy readings unlike anything in our database. I don't think our shields would last 5 seconds." Before the captain could respond, a precise weapons burst from one of the human vessels disabled their main propulsion system. A second later, the security grid failed. "We've lost all defensive capabilities," the engineer reported, panic evident in his voice. "They didn't even damage the hull, just surgically disabled our systems." The captain slumped in his chair. "Stand down. Prepare to be boarded." Throughout the hegemony system, similar scenes played out. Human ships appeared from nowhere, their technology demonstrating capabilities that defied hegemony understanding. One by one, the transports were secured, their precious human cargo recovered. On the Prometheus, Nora watched the tactical display with grim satisfaction. "All transports secured, Captain," Wei reported. "Rescue teams are extracting our people. No casualties reported among the prisoners." "And the infiltration team?" "Successfully extracted from the research facility. They're rendezvousing with ghost ship Herms now." Nora nodded, a weight lifting from her shoulders. They had done it. Against overwhelming odds, they had rescued their people from the heart of enemy territory. "Captain," Chatri said, a note of concern in his voice, "the hegemony is repositioning its fleet. Ships beyond the range of our spatial anchor are converging on our position. They'll be in weapons range in 3 minutes." "Let them come," Nora replied calmly. "Maintain the anchor until all our people are safely aboard our vessels. Then we show them the rest of our capabilities." On his command ship, Admiral Zex Terrell watched helplessly as the humans systematically dismantled his careful plan. Everything he thought he knew about human technology had been wrong. Everything the hegemony's intelligence had gathered about Earth's capabilities had been wrong. And as he observed the precision, the coordination with which the humans executed their rescue operation, a chilling thought occurred to him. What if the humans had been holding back all along? What if everything they had shown the galaxy thus far had been carefully calculated to make them appear less threatening than they truly were? The hegemony had awakened something dangerous, and now they would have to face the consequences. The rescue mission. Colonel Maya Santos moved silently through the dimly lit corridors of the hegemony research facility, her tactical suit's adaptive camouflage shifting to match the metallic surfaces around her. 5 other members of her special operations team, ghosts, they called themselves, spread out behind her in perfect formation, each covering a specific sector of approach. "Control, this is Wraith Leader," Santos subvocalized, the neural implant at the base of her skull transmitting her thoughts directly to the communication system. "We've reached level 7. No resistance encountered. Something's wrong." Captain Reeves's voice responded in her mind. "Sensor data shows most security personnel were reassigned to transport duty. They're trying to move the prisoners faster than we can track them. They don't know about our infiltrators, Santos replied, a grim smile crossing her face. For 3 weeks, human operatives disguised as maintenance drones had been mapping the facility, gathering intelligence, and inserting backdoors into the Hegemony's security systems. The Prometheus's arrival wasn't a desperate rescue attempt. It was the final phase of a meticulously planned operation. "Junction ahead," whispered Lieutenant Park, the team's tech specialist. "Security checkpoint, but it's abandoned." Santos frowned. The Hegemony was thorough and methodical, not prone to leaving posts unmanned. "Stay alert. This could be a trap." They moved through the checkpoint without incident, entering a corridor lined with laboratory doors. Each door featured a small observation window and a holographic security panel. "Life signs?" Santos asked. Sergeant Reynolds, their biosensor specialist, consulted his wrist display, reading approximately 20 human signatures spread throughout this section. "Weak vital signs." And he paused, his expression hardening. "At least 8 Hegemony scientists actively working." Santos nodded. "Weapons check. Remember, we need those scientists alive. They might be the only ones who know what was done to our people." The team acknowledged with hand signals, adjusting their non-lethal weapons. At the end of the corridor, a set of heavy security doors blocked their path. Unlike the checkpoint, this barrier was active and fully secured. "Park, what are we looking at?" The lieutenant examined the security panel with a specialized scanner. "Triple encrypted biometric keyed. I can bypass it, but it'll take time." "How much time?" 10 minutes, minimum." Santos frowned. "Too long. Plan B." She reached into her tactical harness and removed a small device, about the size of her palm. It looked innocuous. A simple metallic disc. "Dimensional shunt?" Park asked, eyebrows raised. Santos nodded. "Courtesy of Dr. Chen's research team." The irony isn't lost on me. She placed the device against the door's surface. The disc adhered immediately, its center beginning to glow with a soft blue light. "Everyone back," Santos ordered. The team retreated several meters. Santos activated the device via her neural link. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the space occupied by the door seemed to ripple, as if viewed through heat waves. There was no sound, no explosion, just a circular section of the door approximately 2 meters in diameter simply ceased to exist. "Dimensional displacement," Park whispered. "It didn't destroy the door. It shifted that section of matter into another dimensional plane." "Move," Santos commanded, putting theory aside for action. They passed through the newly created opening into a large laboratory space. What they saw inside froze them in their tracks. Transparent containment chambers lined the walls, each holding a human researcher suspended in a gelatinous substance. Monitoring devices attached to their bodies fed data to Hegemony computers. Some of the humans were clearly conscious, their eyes wide with terror and pain. In the center of the room, 3 Hegemony scientists worked at a surgical station. A human body lay on the table, chest cavity open, neural tissue exposed. Santos felt a cold rage build inside her. "Secure the scientists," she ordered, her voice deadly calm. "Park, start downloading their research data." Reynolds assessed the medical status of the prisoners. The team moved with practiced efficiency. 2 ghosts subdued the Hegemony scientists with targeted stun blasts before they could react. Park connected to the central computer terminal, while Reynolds began scanning the containment chambers. "Captain," Santos transmitted to the Prometheus, "we've located the primary research lab. They're experimenting on our people. It's worse than we thought." She transmitted visual data through her neural link, allowing Captain Reeves to see the horror they'd discovered. "Status of the prisoners?" Nor asked, her voice tight with controlled fury. Reynolds looked up from his scans. 24 alive in this section, including 3 in critical condition. The neural probes they're using are causing significant trauma. We need to extract them immediately." What about the others? According to these logs, Park interjected, looking up from the computer terminal, 6 researchers have already died during the procedures. They've moved another 12 to secondary facilities, and his voice faltered. It looks like they were planning to begin destructive analysis on Dr. Chen tonight. Santos felt sick. Destructive analysis was a clinical term for what amounted to methodical dissection. Can we remove them from the containment unit safely? She asked Reynolds. The surgeon studied his readings, not without proper medical equipment. The fluid they're suspended in is providing life support. Some of them can't survive without it. Santos made a quick decision. We take the chambers with us. Park, can you disconnect them from the main system without harming the occupants? Yes, but they're not exactly portable. They are now. Santos nodded to their demolitions expert, Corporal Zhang. Create transport frames for these chambers. We're not leaving anyone behind. Colonel, Park called from the computer terminal. I found something. According to these research notes, the hegemony is specifically studying how humans interface neural technology with quantum mechanics. They believe we've discovered something they missed, a fundamental connection between consciousness and quantum states. Santos approached the terminal. Is that what this is all about? They're torturing our people to understand how our technology works. Not just how it works, Park replied, scrolling through more data. They think we've stumbled onto something that could revolutionize their entire understanding of physics, something they overlooked despite being a spacefaring civilization for thousands of years. Download everything, Santos ordered. Every file, every note, every piece of research data.